This is the Orioles Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Baltimore Orioles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Wow. That was nightmare fuel. I've seen enough. And tonight, kind of dismal and also kind of infuriated, talking about a 4-3 loss by the Baltimore Orioles at the hands of the Washington Nationals. Hello, good evening, very late here on this Friday night. My name is Luke Slaybaugh. If you've been with me all year, thanks for sticking with me here on the Orioles Postcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. As a reminder, this is bonus content, instant game reaction after every Baltimore Orioles game. We thought going into 2025, we'd have a lot more wins to talk about, and these would be more joyful circumstances. Opening day, 2,000 of you were here. It was awesome. And ever since then, the ship has been sinking more and more. Connor Newcomb is here 5 days a week during the week with his reactions, his recaps, his thoughts. But if you support this show, you support the greater show. I'm always happy that you're here, always active in the comments. Rivalry weekend going on this weekend for Major League Baseball. The league putting geographic opponents together. Of course, the Beltway Series plays into that. I always thought rivalries were what divisions were for. And geographically, the O's, they stack up well against the Yankees, the Red Sox, what have you. But Beltway Series works just as well. And after a 12-minute weather delay due to tornado warnings in the Baltimore County area, the O's go toe-to-toe with their Beltway rival from Navy Yard. And today, we talk about everything that could go wrong for the Orioles to make them lose.
This is what you'll be talking about.
And it's a focus thing. We'll just go to where the game was lost. I could have played the turning point animation, but I'm not going to. Just one tonight, guys. Top of the ninth, 3-3 ball game, and Félix Bautista, the mountain, the closer, is in a non-save situation. Of course, Felix, perfect in save percentage so far this year, but you got to get him some work and not tax the other guys in the bullpen. And all of a sudden, out the gate, you know that his mechanics are off. He walks Dylan Cruz just like that. Mechanics, arm ankle look a little bit shaky. And then, with a stroke of luck, Adley Rutschman guns down Dylan Cruz. Jorge Mateo actually holding and applying the tag through the slide, kind of guides Cruz out into center field. And once his hand pops off the bag, that oven mitt comes off into the air. Jorge's got leather on that hand. And he's called out. So a really good defensive play. And you're thinking, wow, all of a sudden, there's an out, no one on base. And then just as easily, Bautista lets Jose Tena on. He gets a ground out from Luis Garcia Jr., Ramon Urias making a nice play, charging in. And with 2 outs, you're just about to get out of this game. And then one of the most expanding brain moments.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
My bosses are going to be happy that I played that. 2 outs. Nasim Nunez at the plate. A little tapper to Ryan Mountcastle. And Bautista, a little bit late getting off the mound, but charging. It's a foot race. And Nunez beats him out. Which, okay, if you have runners on the corners. But Bautista kind of hunches his shoulders, and his back is turned completely to home plate. And then Tena just gunning it for the plate. And he scores easily. Like Bautista throws and it's offline, but it's way late. There was no getting him. It's offline and late. It's an infield single and an E1. And the Nationals take a 4-3 lead in the top of the ninth, never to look back. And that is the latest and most egregious example of the lack of focus that you see out of this Baltimore Orioles team. I'm not a hater, I'm not a Debbie Downer, and I'm not a sunshine pumper. But man, that was the icing on the cake and really the nail in the coffin for what is now a 4-game losing streak and the continued downward spiral. And it's not the only example of the O's dogging it today. top of the sixth as well, with Cade Povich on the mound and some good things going. Got a 2-1 lead. Leadoff walk to Nasim Nunez. Able to strike out CJ Abrams on a two-seamer down and in. And then next batter, a passed ball. Adley Rutschman lets the ball go through the wickets, and that would be fine if Nunez advances to second base. But Adley just kind of jogs after the ball at the backstop. And I believe those of you watching here live on YouTube right now would agree, just on replay, just kind of trudging back there. That's what it looked like just on first viewing. And so Jackson Holiday, covering second base, kind of locks his legs and gets off the bag and just becomes stock still because there's not going to be a play there. And so Nunez never slides. He just rounds second and is able to get into third base again easily. So they almost get out of that inning. Jorge Mateo gets a ground ball from Alex Call, able to look back Nunez, and there's 2 outs. But then again, James Wood hits an RBI single, fastball that catches the inside of the plate, and it's a 2-2 ball game. Again, the O's could have limited the damage. They shot themselves in the foot again. Well, thank you all for tuning in live right now on YouTube. As a reminder, these always stream live. This is instant reaction. This is bonus content, complimentary shows here on the Locked On Podcast Network. If you are watching on the replay, or if you're listening in your car day after, or really, really late at night, perhaps, late nights in Baltimore County, 2 or 3 in the morning, just leave a comment, rating, review, thumbs up. Let me know where you're watching from, your thoughts, perhaps some things that I'm missing here in the analysis. I always forget 1 or 2 things that I really want to talk about in these. I will give the offense this. For a team that leads the major leagues in pitches per plate appearance, the Orioles did a good job tonight at setting the table against left-hander Mackenzie Gore, but not much after that. It was good that they got to the bullpen early, and it bodes well for the series that they were able to see more than 5 relievers of a bullpen that was near the bottom of the league in bullpen ERA and was beat up and overworked following their series against the Braves. However, what we know about this Orioles offensive approach so far this season is that they're 25th in the league in walk rate, and they have the 3rd highest strikeout rate in baseball. The bad side of this coin, they leave a season high 15 runners left on base per Masson, 3 shy of the franchise record. And it started early on. Through the first 3 innings, they had left 7 on. And in fact, through 4, they had left the bases loaded, stranded runners on each bag 3 times. It was an all-decade start against Mackenzie Gore, 10 hits, 10 strikeouts, 10 runners left on base. And I will say that the plate approach in the bottom of the first looked somewhat refreshing, and that Ryan Mountcastle kind of keeps his hands back, hits a single off a changeup, 5-pitch at bat, extends his hitting streak to 11 games. Adley Rutschman gets one off up the middle, not hit particularly hard, but again shortens up. And Ramon Laureano taking it opposite field. We welcome that. Unfortunately, none of these guys are particularly Usain Bolt style speed, or Jorge Mateo for that matter. So they're going station to station in this offense. There's no game-changing speed at the top of the lineup, with Gunnar Henderson making an out on the first pitch of the game. So Ryan O'Hearn, he has a bad hack at a slider, and then he strikes out. Hittable pitches throughout that at-bat. Then Ramon Urias strikes out looking at a curveball. And after 24 pitches, the Boo Birds are out at the yard. And rightfully so, I might add. Even still, bottom of the third, Adley hits a double to center field with 1 out. Then Ramon Laureano, first pitch, gets a cutter in on the hands. It's an RBI double into the left field corner, makes it a 1-1 ball game. Ryan O'Hearn, first pitch to the opposite field. And then Ramon Urias, a great 8-pitch at bat, goes 0-2 to 3-2, which we've seen a lot this year, and he walks. Got the bases loaded. Jackson Holiday hits a chopper over the first baseman's head, able to gun out an infield single. Orioles take the lead 2-1. Mullins strikes out on a cutter in the dirt, and Jorge Mateo, obviously, curveball in the dirt, strikes out, swinging. O's were 4 for their first 11 with runners in scoring position, but 8 for 9 for their first balls in play. 8 of their first 9 balls in play went for hits, and that's an 888 average. Luck was on their side. They were starting to see some of the things trend in their direction. They shot themselves in the foot. Even more so, again, Ramon Laureano using the backside of the field in the 4th inning. Love that they were able to bounce Mackenzie Gore after 3 2/3 innings. And it snaps the Nats' Major League Baseball leading streak of starters going 4+ innings pitched in 34 consecutive games. And then again, with the bases loaded, Ramon Urias again strikes out looking. This time, totally get it, not his pitch, about a baseball's length outside the plate. Ramon did get redemption for himself in the bottom of the 6th after Mountcastle reaches on an error by the third baseman for the Washington Nationals, Jose Tena, who had a very sloppy game there, kind of an unnerving game there for him. Laureano gets hit by a pitch with 1 out. O'Hearn walks, and then Urias with 1 out and the bases loaded just puts the ball in play, shortens up, goes opposite field for a sacrifice fly. That was the last lead the Orioles will have, 3-2. He had already struck out twice with the bases loaded, but he cut the length on his swing. Coming up, we're going to talk about Cade Povich. This was an outing that showed a lot of promise. He was working on some extra rest. We're going to talk what we liked, what we didn't like, just a couple of missteps in an otherwise pretty good outing from the left-hander. Man, tonight, the O's did it to themselves. They finished 4 of 15 with runners in scoring position, and they leave a season-high 15 runners on base, and it's capped by some boneheaded plays by the Mountain, which we don't really expect, and by Adley Rutschman, who's supposed to be the field general, who's supposed to lead this team, he and Gunner. All that coming up on the other side of this break. Stay with us. Thank you for joining us here on the Locked on Orioles postcast here on Friday night. What day is it? It's Friday. And if you were lucky to show up to Camden Yards and see, an intense nail biter of a game, one of these days you got to jump in and use Gametime. Last minute, if you're in the area, you and your friends and family want to go to a ball game, this is the app that you guys got to have. You got to save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, invite more people to come with you, and you can all do that with Gametime. It helps you buy tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app drop as we get closer to first pitch. So the deals are incredible last minute. You get some good seat views before you even purchase your ticket, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worrying out of buying. And of course, the O's have some interesting matchups coming up. The White Sox coming to town. That would be good to see how they fare against a team that was supposed to be, 40, 50 wins. Maybe that can be a morale booster. And then Memorial Day weekend, they're over up in Boston at Fenway Park. I'm looking at going to that game up there, or at least one of those 4 games up there. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB. That's all one word. LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. One more sponsor tonight, and we are brought to you by FanDuel. NBA playoffs are heating up. Man, we're getting close to conference finals week. Looking forward to the Western matchup, to be honest. Whoever can survive between Denver and OKC, it's going to be a good one against Minnesota. And FanDuel says now is the best time to get in on the action and stay in the game before tip-off and live. Player props, performance trends, same-game parlays. Fans can get in on the action like never before and as often as possible. And man, Jamal Murray's been coming up in the clutch against the Thunder. He would be one to look out for in this Game 7 coming up. SGA, of course, a great pick. Lou Dort, kind of a polarizing guy. Starts off really cold and then drains some threes, does really well. I remember when he was just coming up. Undrafted kid out of ASU. Rudy Gobert also making headlines. Who knows? If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to fanduel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. $73 comments and counting on YouTube here live on the stream. I'm going to be honest, guys, not feeling it. I'm not going to jump in there. But if you're new, this is the postcast. It's the instant post-game reaction show here on the Locked On Orioles podcast. This is just bonus content. This is something that the network throws in. They do it for all the teams. And I am happy to be here, even through this first 40-something nightmare that we're all going through. But Connor does an amazing job on the 5-day-a-week show. And this is just another way to boost up and elevate the Locked On Orioles presence on digital, the podcast network, everywhere. Left-hander Cade Povich pitched smart, sequenced well, commanded his fastball, and had a tantalizing, improved curveball. For the most part, he kept it low. And so through 4 2/3 innings, he was cruising. He was doing well. Couple of mishaps we'll talk about. Top of the second, hanging sweeper to Nathaniel Lowe. Adley Rutschman had set up outside, ball never quite made it there. Lowe this is a perfect example of him just sitting off speed and sitting sweeper the whole way. He took a first pitch fastball down the heart of the plate and was waiting for the right cement mixer sweeper, and he got it, made it a 1-0 ball game. Top of the sixth as well, walks Nasim Nunez. Was able to strike out C.J. Abrams on a 2-seamer down and in. And in fact, I will give a shout out to Orioles pitching that they tamed an incredibly hot hitter in C.J. Abrams, sitting 364 with 2 home runs this month so far. And they limited him throughout this game. No damage by him at all. And where were we? Talking about Mr. Povich. Right. That whole passed ball situation. And then, of course, Adley Rutschman and the fastball that caught a little bit of the inside of the plate against James Wood. But Wood is a monster. I mean, he is going to do some serious damage so long as he is down in Navy Yard in this Beltway series because he just looks the part. RBI single made it 2-2 and eventually was lifted for left-hander Gregory Soto, who got out of that inning, getting Keber Ruiz to fly out to Ryan O'Hearn. So to this point, through 24 major league starts, Cade Povich has never thrown back-to-back 6-inning outings. And he was skipped the last time through the rotation. They had the whole rain-out situation against the Twins, had to play a traditional doubleheader the next day. So you were hoping for a little bit extra juice out of Cade, but we liked what we saw. Struck out 9 batters. Very effective with the fastball, located it very well, probably the best fastball command he's had all year. And the curveball as well, had some good break on it. Had not been a reliable pitch for him all year, but showed some signs of improvement. It's unfortunate that he could not leave with the lead or be given a win on a night where he pitched pretty well. Tyler O'Neill was a late scratch, right fielder with left shoulder discomfort. He is listed as day-to-day. I said this before, and I'll say it again. The moment we started seeing some nicks and bruises out of the world's most jacked Baltimore Oriole, this is going to happen. And unfortunately, you're not getting the stretches of productivity in between. Started out the season pretty well in that series in Toronto, but otherwise it's been nothing. And now we're below the Mendoza line. So this is rough. Ryan O'Hearn lifted for Heston Kjerstad late, probably framed as a defensive replacement, but O'Hearn during one at-bat late in the game kind of had a stiff neck, felt like he tweaked something, and was looked at by the trainer, finished his at-bat, and walked. So we'll keep an eye on that tomorrow. And we do play tomorrow. There is a game coming up, 4:05 on Masson or FS1 if you're out of market. Right-hander Jake Irvin goes for the Nationals. He is 2-1 this season and 9 starts with a 4.00 ERA. He's going up against totally Kyle. Right-hander Kyle Gibson, 0-2 this year. I don't have a whole lot else to say. I will say he lowered his ERA in his last start from 14 to 13, but hey, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the O's doing something right. And going back to the main theme of tonight is just by getting your head on straight. There's no reason to be dogging it during any point in a Major League Baseball game. But here, regional rival, battle of the beltways, whatever, man. This is pride. This is dignity. This is the major leagues. How this team has fallen from postseason darling to, the next big crop of, young birds taking flight. We got Jackson Holiday and Gunnar Henderson and some better than average, number 2 arms, and Brian Baker. Brian Baker would have been my player of the game had they won, or at least held on to a lead with the emotion he pitched with and the couple of strikeouts he got. But man, this ain't it. This ain't it. I'll be here tomorrow, and you know where to find me. And we'll be running through this like we always do. I want to thank you for joining me here on this Friday night live here on YouTube and on the replay on the Locked On Podcast Network. The final score, Washington 4 and Baltimore 3. My name is Luke Slabaugh. This has been the Locked On Orioles Postcast. Thank you for joining me. Have a good night. Stay safe. And I'll see you right here tomorrow.